Hi everyone, it's Lady Rose here from Goddess Garage, and I'm really excited to do a tarot review with you. I've been sort of eyeing this deck for quite some time and I finally got it in. Now there is a bit of a series to this deck, so I'm going to show you what it is. It is the After Tarot. And what I like about this concept is it's totally based off the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, but it's each card in this deck. This is what happens after the picture that you see in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. They also have a Before Tarot. I will be getting that one in as well, so I'll be doing a review of that one. So just to talk about the physical, it comes in sort of a same size kind of box as the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. It has the same size, look, and feel of the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. I mean, this is the back of this particular deck. Most of the traditional Rider-Waite-Smiths have this as a back. Some of the newer ones have different backings, but this one I like. I like that it incorporates the roses and the lilies, which are very prominent through a lot of the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. And then it has a equal armed cross right in the middle. So to me, that I really like the back of the deck. The cards, you know, are a good feel. They slide nice and easy. It's not a huge size deck, so it's a little bit easier to shuffle. It's a lot like the original tarot deck as far as look and feel and shuffling ability and all that kind of stuff. So it's a little bit bigger than your traditional playing card deck, but it's not one of these ginormous kind of decks. And it does come with a booklet. It's a little booklet like this, so very much again like the booklet you would get in your Rider-Waite-Smith deck. So there's the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. For some reason I have two of these. I have a lot of Rider-Waite-Smith decks though, because I often have them that students can borrow when they're in my classes. So that's why probably two books ended up in one box there. But it comes with a little book, and it's not like a big elaborate book like some, you know, like my Alice in Wonderland or Tarot in Wonderland book, like came with a full book and pictures and everything. This one is just a little white one, but it does actually give full kind of descriptions, and it leaves a lot to the imagination as well. Like, what is the story? And you can really create some really cool storyboards with each of these cards, and you can take out like one card and then find it in the other two. I'm very excited to get the Before Tarot to see what happens. Like, so for instance, we've got the Fool card here. We're all familiar with this Fool. This is the one from the original tarot deck. And then we've got the Fool after. So it's kind of interesting. He does step off the cliff, and his dog is like, oh my goodness. And, you know, but he's just kind of hanging there. He's not like yelling and screaming. He's not like Wile E. Coyote and has just gone off the cliff and fallen kind of thing. He's still got one hand that he's hanging onto the ledge, and he's actually more focused on his white rose. Now the white rose has a significant meaning. So the white rose is all about innocence, purity, that sort of thing. That's why they're used a lot in weddings, because, you know, as a bride, you're supposed to be pure and innocent and all this kind of stuff. So that's what the white rose often it stands for, but it also stands for transition, because when you get married, that is a time of transition in your life. You're no longer individual, you are now a unit with someone. So in this one, he's going along his way, nice and sunny, and he's got his red rose, or his white rose there. And then all of a sudden, he's off the cliff, he's taken that step, he's managed to catch himself, and he's focused on the white rose. So for me, it's kind of saying he's focused now on the transition that needs to happen, and that's where his focus is going. He had an idea of it here, and now he's, like I said, focusing on that. So it's kind of interesting. I'd like to see what was before. I will get all 3 decks out once I get the before one. It took a little while for this one to come in just because of COVID or whatever. But like I said, I've been eyeing this one for a while because I've been curious. What is the story behind all these cards? Now it's interesting that, you know, the white rose has to do with the Fool, but the white rose also has to do with death, because this is the white rose of transition. And sometimes white roses are used at funerals as well, because the white rose is all about that transition. And I know in some Asian cultures, white is the color of mourning, as opposed to North Americans who often use black as the color of mourning. We wear black and when we're in mourning and all that kind of stuff. But in some Asian cultures, it's white that they wear to funerals. So this is the white rose that death is carrying. So it's kind of interesting. This is the original one. And I've always talked to my clients about how, my students, about how the white rose is that transition, because death is sort of one of the ultimate transitions. So here's the after. So there's the after. It doesn't look like a lot has changed, but you have to pay attention to the details of this card. So you'll see his flag is up and fluttering a little bit more, so he's sort of moved forward. The sun started here on the horizon, but the day has dawned now. So let's get moving. Here we've got a king who's down, so it's sort of also a metaphor for breaking through maybe limitations or power that you were allowing to rule you, that sort of thing. The bishop is here. Here he's down beside the king. So, oh, there we go. So there's the king and there's the bishop. 2 powerful people that have been knocked down by death. And then a mother here is holding her child. So the mother and the kidder are right here. There's the mother. She's still not looking too happy. And the kid is just kind of looking up at death. And this is kind of saying death takes us all. And it doesn't matter whether you're powerful, whether you're a small child, death takes us all eventually. And for some, it comes sooner than others. But ultimately, it's a time of transformation because of course, there's the river flowing behind, right? River. And this is sort of a metaphor for the river Styx. We have to cross across the river to get to the other side, to get to these 2 pillars here. See, they're there. Now, these 2 pillars are the same 2 pillars that are on the moon card about spiritual transition and spiritual expansion and growth. And this is them again, of course. And when you cross that river, because rivers are very significant in crossing to reach a stage of maturity, to reach a stage of enlightenment, that sort of thing. They come, the river, the metaphor of the river and crossing it comes up again and again in fairy tales as well. So this is about crossing over to that other side where the sun is, where those pillars of spiritual expansion and growth are. And once you get through there, you know, hopefully there's like a nirvana or heaven or that sort of kind of place to be, to rest before we have to move on again. Okay, so now the next card I wanted to show you is the Eight of Pentacles. So this one was kind of interesting because he's working hard. He's making his pentacles, and what's he doing with them all? So what happens? So he makes a whole like beautiful statue art piece out of it. So he's done his work and it's paying off. Someone commissioned this artwork and he finished it. So it's kind of interesting, and it would be interesting, I think, to do a reading with these cards along with the before and after. Right now we just have the after. So then we move on to the King of Pentacles. So we've got the king here. It looks very busy here. You know, he's got grapes and he's got the bulls and he's got the pentacle and he's got a scepter. And then the after is, here he is after. A bull has come in and he's moved his coin slightly, and he's also focused more on the bull and the coin coming together. as opposed to he just has the coin here and he's sort of looking off into the distance. And the bull is coming in here. So the bull, this represents Taurus, because the King of Pentacles, astrologically speaking, is sort of the Taurus, the sign of Taurus, right? And pentacles are about money and material goods. Tauruses are the builders of the zodiac, so they build money. You know, even the stock markets, it's a bull market kind of thing. When it's like, it's aggressive, it's time to, you know, buy the stocks. At least I think I'm going the right way there, because I think the bear market is wait and hold off kind of thing. If I remember my economics class back in high school well enough. So the bull there is there about, you know, providing that stability, because that's what the King of Pentacles is about, the building of wealth, and, you know, providing that foundation for you to sort of jump off of, so that when you're financially stable, then you can start to better explore things like intellectual pursuits, spiritual pursuits, and growth and expansion in all those areas. Now we have the other card I picked out was the Ten of Cups. So this is always a happy card when it comes up, right? Like there's a family, a mom and a dad and some children doing Ring Around the Rosie or something, and there's a rainbow and 10 beautiful golden cups, and they've got their arms up, and as a couple, they're in the position of the goddess, or in the position of yes. So they're very open to receiving, and it's just a happy, happy day. And then the after is later that night. So they've still got the golden cups in a golden sort of light now. There's lots of stars. It's very magical. And the family, including the grandfather, it looks like, are just sitting around a bonfire, having fun, you know, enjoying the flames, the warmth, the comfort of coming together at this beautiful night, you know, soaking up the campfire smells and maybe making s'mores or whatever might be happening. So that's what that is. Because I was like, how does this card get better? This is a great card. Well, it gets better by later that night. They're still having lots of fun and lots of together time and family time and connecting and all that kind of stuff. So here we've got the Two of Cups. So this is Archangel Raphael that's represented here. You can see the two snakes, because of course it's the same as the doctor healing symbol. That's Archangel Raphael's symbol as well, because he's the master healer. So he's sort of a patron angel of doctors and nurses and things. And he's also a binder. So he's a demon binder, but he's also a binder for love and relationships. So he can heal both physically, but he can also heal mentally. He can heal relationships and bind people together that are meant to be bonded together and making those connections. So we've got these cups, and of course, if you've done tarot, you know cups are about emotions and relationships and things like that. So what happens after these two people kind of come together? Well, they hug. They hug. So, you know, they cheers their cup, maybe had a sip of wine out of it, and then they're hugging. They are coming together. They're binding. And then we've got this lovely white cat here who wasn't here before, but he recognizes that there's love in the air, and he's rubbing up against them and stuff. So it's a happy ending there. Now we've got the Five of Pentacles, which always looks kind of bad. Fives often do look bad in tarot because they're a huge transition kind of number, but they're always a transition from a not so great place to a much better place, but it's always a bumpy transition. So there's going to be some life lessons that maybe need to be learned. It's not going to be easy to get to the nicer, better side of things. So this is what fives are about. So you see these two people, you know, in rags. One's got crutches. It looks like they've got almost bare feet. One has bare feet, and one has rags, and one has just socks, and it's snowing on top of it. I mean, could this get any worse? Well, there's the after. And to me, this is supposed to be a woman who she's got like just rags around her feet. So part of her feet are bare in this snowy weather, and she's got her bag of rags. So there used to be a lot of women that would collect rags and sell them. And back in the day, especially in this time period, sort of the medieval time period that these cards are kind of based off of, it was actually very rare for people of common class to have new clothes. They always had hand-me-downs or second-hand clothing. Like, new clothing was not a thing. They would often get second-hand clothing, you know, throw-offs from those that were wealthier. You know, if you worked in a house, sometimes you would get some of the clothes that, you know, the owners were just done with. And a lot of times, like in particular during, I believe it was the French Revolution, there was a lot of fighting in the streets, and when people got killed, a lot of people would steal the clothing off of the dead bodies, because again, it wasn't very common for the common man or the peasant to actually have clothes. They might have some rough clothes, like very rough, like burlap kind of shirts and things. So this woman would collect rags of clothing that was discarded, and it probably was worn to the point of rags. So she would sell some of these rags, and the women, the wives, the daughters and stuff would make clothing or bed sheets or whatever from these rags, right? So she's not doing so great either, because her clothing is bare, threadbare as well. So for some reason, this card kind of says to me, yes, you're not doing so great, right? But there's always someone who's worse off than you, right? And you've managed to huddle together and kind of get some warmth. All she has is her rags. So maybe it's sort of appreciate what you've got. You're about to transition. It's going to be hard, but appreciate the journey. That sort of thing. That's kind of the story I see between those two cards. Now, another card I drew was the Two of Swords. So this woman is sitting by the water on a bench, and she's got two swords in her hand. Now, often people, and this is a waxing moon, I believe. So this card is sometimes nicknamed the card of hard decisions, because she's having to make a choice. She doesn't want to. She's resisting it because she's got this blindfold on. And then the next card, the After Tarot, is okay. So the swords are gone from her, and they're now in these two gentlemen's hands, and they look like they're ready to fight. So it could be like a love triangle, like who's going to win her or whatever kind of thing. But it could also be that she's let go of the swords, and these men are not actual men, they're metaphors for she's just gonna let the decision happen, whichever way fate kind of wants to make it happen. Or it could be that, okay, I've let go of the swords, I still have to make the decision, I still have the blindfold on, but now I'm going to kind of, she hears the clinking of the swords together, so she's thinking, I'm going to weigh the pros and cons maybe. You know, that's just another way of looking at this card kind of thing. So it's kind of interesting, some of the stories that you can come up with this After Tarot. And like I said, I want to get the Before Tarot to see what happened before, middle, and end kind of thing, because that's basically what you're kind of supposed to be doing with these tarot cards when you do a reading. And that's why I love tarot so much, because it leaves a lot of options open. You can't do the same thing with oracle cards, and I'm not knocking oracle cards in any way. I use them all the time, but I use them more as guideposts. I would very rarely actually do a reading with just oracle cards. It just seems like that's a lot of guideposts all in one reading, you know. So I do combine the two a lot of the times, oracle and tarot. But what I find the oracle does for me is it provides those guideposts a little bit, puts some light on, okay, maybe this is where we need to look. or explore. Maybe this is a message you just need to hear out blatantly, because some oracle cards are more blunt than others, which is always nice. And oracle cards, you know, you can kind of pick what energy you want. You know, whether it's mermaid energy or whether it's flowers or whether it's, you know, let's look at our chakras or whatever it might be. But tarot has, I love the vibe of tarot. It's always sort of the same no matter what deck you get. I mean, yes, you can pick in, you know, like I want the Alice or the Tarot in Wonderland tarot, or I'm going to use the traditional Rider-Waite, or I'm going to use the Gilded Tarot. This is the one I use a lot as my working deck. There's, you know, tons of tarot out there. I don't have to tell you that. But they all kind of have the same, let's make a story. Let's see where this leads us. It's not obvious, you know, the way oracle cards are, like, here's the message you need to hear from your dragon or whatever. This is like, okay, so this looks like it hurts, right? So this is the Three of Hearts. I wanted to see, Three of Hearts. I always call it the Three of Hearts because I'm always focused on the heart. It's the Three of Swords. I'm terrible for that. And I wanted to see what was the after, like, how does it turn out? Because it looks awful, right? There's clouds, it's raining, there's three hearts stabbed fully through, or there's three swords, see, I'm doing it again, stabbed fully through a heart. It's, you know, the card of heartbreak, it's a card of betrayal. And when this turns up, you know, it's never a happy story, or very rarely, right? So then the after tarot, though, is this one. So it's still stormy out. The swords have been removed, which is nice. And the poor heart has been bandaged up and looks a little worse for wear, but it's on the mend. So when I first saw this card, when I was going through the deck, the phrase, "this too shall pass," totally came into my head. So it's like, okay, so yes, someone hurt you, someone betrayed you, someone crushed your heart, and you know, you gave it over and they did not take care of it. But you are able to take the swords out. You are able to move past the hurt and the betrayal. You're able to bandage yourself up. Maybe there's a little bit more of a storm. It's not quite as prominent as it was in this one. So the storm is starting to calm down, and this too shall pass, right? So there's some comfort in that saying. I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, that's a, you know, sort of surface thing to say. But truly, this too shall pass. And I do like to think about that phrase once in a while, because even happiness will pass. We're just always swinging from one emotion to the other. So nothing stays the same all the time, right? So when you're going through bad times, know that this too shall pass. When you're going through good times, appreciate them, because this too shall pass, right? And it's you know, just, I like it. I find it a comfort saying. Now I like this one. This is another five. It's the Five of Wands. And I saw a meme not too long ago, and one of my students brought my attention to the meme of, and it, once I tell you what the meme says, you won't unsee it after this, because it makes me laugh every time. It's like, oh, it's five guys trying to put up a tent. And if you've ever been camping, you know how frustrating tent poles and putting up a tent can be. So this totally fits, you know, it always makes me laugh. So I'm like, so what happens with these guys that are trying to put up this tent, or that are sparring with each other and, you know, maybe arguing? Well, the good news is they get themselves organized. They got their sticks all kind of ready to go. They've picked a leader, because all of them were, it's sort of like too many cooks in the kitchen there. They've picked a leader. The other four are sitting and resting and listening to the guidance of this guy, you know, so that they can get their sticks, their wands sorted out, and they can get their tent up, or whatever it is they're trying to achieve there. Now, the other one, so I get a lot of like funny observations from my students. I learn so much from them. So this is the Queen of Cups, and this one kind of makes me laugh too, because in my last session of tarot lessons of the tarot course that I did. This is the Queen, and a client or a student pointed out that she's staring a lot at that cup. And you know, I kind of knew it, but it struck me as funny. It's like, yeah, she's very intensely staring at this cup. This is like her focus, right? Now, the Queen of Cups, she's all about emotions. There's water running under her. She's the Cancer, if you're speaking astrologically. So Cancer is all about water and about nurturing. Cancers are very nurturing and can be very romantic as well. They're very sensitive as well to other people's emotions and to the energy around them. Not as sensitive as Pisces, but they are a close second. Definitely Pisces are the most sensitive of the zodiac, but Cancers are right up there with Pisces. So this is the Queen. She, like I said, she represents Cancer. She's staring very intently at this cup. And one of my students actually asked this last session, like I said, what's she staring at? Like, what's inside the cup? Why doesn't she just open the cup? And I'm like, all good questions, and they get answered. So she opens the cup in the after tarot, and there's a fish inside. Now, if you remember with the cups, the Page of Cups has a fish in his cup as well. So she opens her cup and there's a fish. Now, the fish do have some, magical meanings. So they're ruled by Neptune and Venus. They're connected to those gods and goddesses, right? But they're also connected to Jesus, right? Because we all know the Jesus fish that sometimes people have on the backs of their cars. So they're connected to Jesus as well. But fish are also very protective. They're a protective symbol. So it's sort of an old legend that, like, if you eat the eyes of a fish, you will be protected. Fish are also tied to prosperity, and like I said, protection as well. So prosperity and protection. And then the symbol of the fish makes actually was used a lot as a talisman, not just for the Jesus fish, but also in the past. If you put like a picture of a coin and a fish, it was supposed to bring you wealth and that sort of thing. So if you have fish, you have wealth, you have protection. So that's sort of what she is bringing to the table. She realizes there's a fish, so she's bringing protection because she is Cancer, and Cancer is all about nurturing and taking care of people, right? And then, of course, there's prosperity. And, like she's a queen, so she's not doing too bad, right? But she's on her beautiful throne, and she's on a pebbled beach almost, like I said, there's water running around her, but these almost look like they could be like crystals or something, right? So she's got some wealth that way as well. She's got a big gold cup, I'm sure it would catch a pretty penny if she put it on Marketplace or something. And then we've got this guy. So we've got the Nine of Swords. And, this guy, a lot of people misread this guy, like when they first see him, especially in my classes. I've heard all kinds of different interpretations. And it's like, basically, it's a guy sitting in front of a table. People said, oh, this is a stage, and these are the curtains. It's like, I've heard all kinds of different stories. It's okay, sure, that's what you see. But it's a guy in front of a table. He's got 9 cups, right? So 9s are about that completion, right? Not like 10s where we saw the rainbow in the family, right? But it's just a nice completion. But this one is a happy one for the cups, sometimes the completions of 9s are just, they just are. That's how it's going to go. And they're just finished. No big hoopla. There's sometimes, just a quiet finish, not a big celebration or anything. But this guy looks like he's ready for a celebration, right? Ready to go. Well, what happens? Well, he's got his manservant here who's bringing him a feast. And he's, picking out what he wants. Like he's got some turkey and looks like potatoes and beans and spinach or something on there. So he's looking pretty happy. He's getting fed. And, he's going to offer this to his guests. Maybe he's taste testing before the guests come to say, yep, the food is great. It's ready to go. Let's get that on the table as well. So that was an interesting one. Now, we haven't looked at any aces, so I drew an Ace of Wands. So as you know, aces are always door openers, opportunities, new starts. You know, they have this hope about them, like a fresh, clean slate. Here you go. So the Ace of Wands, you know, it's the element of fire. Wands cover a lot of different things, from, you know, things you're passionate about, things that are about creativity, you know, whether you're drawing or writing music or writing novels or making pictures or making art projects of some kind. They also have to do with career work, like whatever you're passionate about in your career, whatever burns in your stomach, whatever brings fire to your soul, kind of thing. This is what the wands tend to cover. So this is the after tarot. So we've got the wand still, it's a little bit lower, but the hand now is holding a salamander, which is the creature of fire. And it's a very mythical creature. The legend is it's able to walk through fire, or they're born in of fire and they don't get burned. So it's the salamanders bringing that salamander energy to the wand, and the wand is still blooming here, but it's also blooming here. So it's just bringing that extra element of fire, opening that extra door, making it wider, whatever it might be. So it's interesting. I really enjoy this deck. Some of the things that they've written in it, like they talk about what the Rider-Waite-Smith deck means, and I'm like, well, I know that, but let's go further. So they don't quite go as far as I was kind of hoping. They do, however, leave it to you, the reader, to interpret whatever energy or story, or whatever energy or story your client's picking up as the after. So, I mean, I get it. I was hoping for more, but I guess it's on me to create that more, and it's on you if you create that more. So I'm hoping to get the before tarot fairly soon, so I'll be doing another video and we'll be looking at the before and during and after. So you can create some beautiful storyboards, I'm thinking it's going to be very exciting to do that review as well. So please tune into it. Please subscribe, hit the bell so that you'll be notified, and you can notify on specific things. Like, you don't have to be notified every time I put up something about witchcraft or whatever. You can just be notified when I do a new review, and you'll be notified when that new before tarot deck goes up as well. So please look in the description for my links wherever you want to follow me or help support me by, you know, visiting my Etsy store. I do tarot readings online if you're interested in getting that done. I have all kinds of different services as well. I do astrology, past life regression, tarot is my big one, of course, but reach out if you're curious or you want to ask more questions. And thank you so much for being here and listening to this review. If you get your own deck, let me know what you think of it. And I didn't show you every card, as I never do in any review, because I like to leave some surprises. And this was a little bit of a different kind of review because we were creating a little bit of different stories with it. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoy making your own stories if you get that deck as well. Okay, take care. Have a great day. Bye.